Hey everyone, Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and I am delighted to be joined in the studio today by the band Coyle. Everybody, thank you so much for coming to see us today. It's good to have you here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
The brand new album is The Things We Can't Stop. It's out now, and at first I kind of want to take a look at the timeline of this album and see maybe you guys were like gunning to compete with Tool, but I guess once they put their album out after 13 years, you thought 8 years is enough, let's put an album out?
That's exactly what happened. Maynard was calling us and like, you guys putting yours out? And we were like, no. He's like, us neither.
We were going to wait on it.
Yeah, but then he said he's going to put it out, and then we had to.
It was already done, so it was easy to put it out.
It's like the world's worst game of chicken. Like,
Yeah.
who's going to take longer to put their album out? Seriously though, like, how long have you spent on the writing process for this album?
It was about 4 to 5 years, I believe. It took a long time. We started recording the record. I wanted to change lyrics. I thought they needed to be deeper and a little bit darker. And then I got writer's block, and that was crazy. I went into a depression thing, and it lasted months. And then it all came back. So.
And I've read about the story. I'm sure your fans have too. But for those who haven't heard it yet, what was the thing that lifted you out of that depression and got you back on track?
The Nick Cave movie, One More Time with Feeling. It was just something about it. Just he recorded a record that was a block away from where his son had died, and he kind of made a studio there, and they brought all these cameras in, these dope cameras, and shot it well. And the cadence of his voice, the whole way, it's just mapped out. It was a very beautiful film for me. So I don't know, it just touched me a lot. So I watched it every day, and I there's a part I was like, this guy's sitting here performing and still doing it when something that tragic had happened that recently, and he's doing it right by the place where he did it. What am I doing? I'm sitting in California in a house moping about I can't write anymore. So I think that inspired me to do it.
Kind of paint a picture of what the writing process looks like. I mean, is it usually, Scooter by yourself, or are you guys kind of like hanging out in the studio just jamming away to see what works? How does it look?
It all depends on the type of song it is.
Yeah, there's a little bit of both. I think,
Yeah.
in this,
Yeah.
Some of us jamming in the room. There's some. He came in with a piano. It was like, guys, I got this. So he started playing, and then we kind of played some atmospheric things around that, and then they kind of developed into other ideas. And
Yeah, we were in the studio for about 6 weeks, 7 weeks.
And then we worked from my house in Temecula and Nick's house in Pennsylvania for a few years.
yeah, sending files back and forth. And what do you
Yeah.
think of this? And what do you think of that?
Yeah.
Chorus rewrites. And
Yes, not just taking a song and changing the entire tempo and then all the chords and notes on it.
Can we do this one a little bit higher?
I remember I called him one day. I was like, I like that song. It's okay, but can we make it way slower and change everything about it?
I was
we
like,
did.
yes, we can do that. Are you sure you want to?
Yeah, he was like, are you sure, man? And I was like, definitely. And then that became Better Human, I think, right?
Yeah, Better Human was like that.
So.
Yeah.
As an artist, how do you know when it's time to kind of pull back and leave a song alone instead of just endlessly tweaking with it?
I don't think you do. As an artist, I don't think you do. As as somebody that has a deadline, you kind of have to.
Yeah.
But every record's like that. So at the end of it all, if it feels good to us, we're okay with it being put out. And you got to take that chance by just going, okay, it's done, no more. But I don't know if any artist really wants to do that.
Yeah, because you could always add more, like.
And I'll say this. I'll say it's. I would think that's more also with an artist that is creating their own music and not having a song written for them or something like that. Like when you're creating your own thing, it's very important to you. It's very close to you. So I don't know if you could ever let those things go. Like there's still songs off the first record I want to go back and redo completely.
Well, I was going to say follow up with that, like playing, some of the older stuff live. Do you still kind of like mess with it and tweak with it, try to have a little more fun with it?
We did. When we did Cold Live, we revamped Bleed and Black Sunday and Cure My Tragedy. We did piano versions of them and brought strings in and had Jeremy's wife and cello friends come and just make a beautiful song. So it was cool, and it's cool to revamp songs like that and give them new life. And things kind of get stale after a while, so you want to shoot a little spark into them.
So when you guys have the songs ironed out and you're ready to start recording, do you have a home studio you work out of, or did you go somewhere to record those?
Well, we did. We started in Phoenix, and we did all the basic tracks, the drums and the bass, and some of the rhythm guitars. And then as the songs developed, we took them home to his house, and I have a studio at my house as well. And, started creating more of what became the final thing.
Started building the monsters. Building the monsters.
The title of the record, The Things We Can't Stop, where does that come from?
It was it's the lyrics started coming, it just seemed like every topic was, and a lot of our records have like kind of themes, the last 3 at least. But as the title started coming, it seemed like and the lyrics throughout the song, it seemed like they were just all things that are unable to be stopped, no matter how hard we try to fix them or remedy the situation. It's never gonna stop, and so there you go. And it just kind of went that way through the whole record, and I was like, well, there's the title.
Is the title something that usually comes to you at the end of the process, or has there ever been a point where you just knew what the title of the record was going to be at the beginning?
It's closer to the end for sure. Yeah, always. It's kind of like that, and I always have like 3 different titles that I throw around. I think I did. And then at the end, I'm just like, that sounds cool.
Can you tell us the titles that didn't make it?
I can't. I blanked.
They're not worth remembering if they didn't.
They're not, exactly.
They didn't make the cut.
You played some wonderful songs for us in the studio today, and I can't wait for everyone to see them. And I want to talk about the first one that you played, which is the current single we're playing here on Hard Drive. It's called Without You. What can you tell me about what went into writing this song?
That song, it was an older song that me and Sam had messed around with when we were doing Different Kind of Pain and writing it in Jacksonville in my sister's room. And it just, we didn't put it on the record because it didn't fit the theme of that record. And so it was just this verse and a chorus, and we saved it. And so, it
had potential back then.
Yeah, it did. It was a cool song. It sounded cool, and sometimes as an artist, when you have X amount of songs to go make a record with, you want to do them all, but you don't. There's no time allotted for that, and you have to pick what fits that record best. So I don't know. The song's about what is the song about again?
Blind faith.
Thank you. It's about blind faith.
Love that band.
I've been saying it so much that I forget.
Clapton's finest moments.
Yeah.
Which ties into actually the video that you guys just put out for that song as well. Tell me about shooting that. Was it fun for you guys?
There's people actually blindfolded in there. I should have been like, yeah, it's blind faith. It was fun. I mean, it was good. It was really hot.
It was very hot.
It was in a church.
I ate a tuna fish sandwich. It was very hot. So I was very nauseous.
And we went very
70%
gothy.
of it.
Yeah.
Thing is
Did you
hot.
really eat a tuna fish sandwich?
Yeah.
Whatever that was going on down there, no offense to the people that did that stuff. Maybe it was sitting too long, but
I had the chicken salad, and it was great.
he told me it was chicken salad. It was tuna.
I had a veggie sandwich and I was fine. I remember that. I ate the
wasn't
veggie.
fine.
I don't think I ate any of
Where
that.
was the church where it was shot?
In Wilkes-Barre, downtown Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It's a hometown shoot for you guys.
Yeah.
Did you have like a crew that was like scouting that for you guys? Was that all done through the label, or did you guys have an idea what you wanted to do?
You tell that story.
Well, I have friends that work. They have a studio out of there, and so we knew of the place. And then the director also has a small rehearsal studio there too. So when he talked to him, we were talking about locations, and the church seemed like the perfect spot because it's just like a creepy old church.
Yeah, and it's connected to a music studio.
Yeah.
Right? So it's kind of cool. It's like an old Gothic church that's connected to a music studio. And then we went through it that night, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff in there.
Yeah, there's all kinds of
It's wild.
rooms.
I don't know.
No, I went down
I
to the
don't think so.
basement and it was creepy. I was like, I'm getting out of here.
Yeah.
I went into a church basement once, but it was in Paris. So I don't. It was really creepy, but in a very kind of like surreal way.
Skulls everywhere.
No, it wasn't the Catacombs, which I've been to as well, and that's a trip,
been
man.
there?
Oh yes.
Oh man.
want
Oh
to
my
go
God! If
today.
you ever get to Paris, go to the
I've
damn
been there. I've
Catacombs,
just
man.
never had time. Every time I was like, oh, we gotta go.
Take
Go
a moment to
somewhere
do
else.
it. It is the most unreal thing you'll ever see in your life. Because at first you're like walking by and there's just walls that are just stacks of bones and they're all piled and organized things. And you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. Look at the bones. And then as you keep going, it starts to weigh on you. Like these are the remains of actual people.
Oh.
Sounds like Sam's
Here,
house.
thousands.
I think
and
that'd be too
thousands.
heavy for me. I don't know if I can walk through there.
You keep some skeletons in your basement? No comment?
Just in his closet.
In the crawl space.
Don't look.
There's statute of
In the
limitations.
Don't search the crawl space.
Yeah.
Nope. You won't find anything. I do want to get back to some of the songs. You also played a great song for us, Shine. Can you tell me about that one and the feelings that are behind that song as well?
Well, it's a song about a little girl that gets bullied and contemplates suicide, and she's, prescribed pills. And I just wanted to address that. There's a lot of it going on right now with social media and everything. And a friend of ours in California, Emily, a photographer, her little girl was going through it, and we're actually gonna get her to tell one of her stories on the beginning of the record, but I couldn't put her through that. I was like, I don't want the record to start off with something that could potentially hurt somebody later on. I don't want her. It was a little girl, but it was a brutal story. And then my kids were going to new schools at the time, so I don't know if they were getting bullied, but there's that sense of maybe nobody's gonna like me, and stuff like that. So they were having a hard time transitioning. And I had the chorus for that song for a long time, and it was just uplifting and it felt good. So what does Cold do? We take it all down to another place. So I was driving around. They were at the house when it happened, and I just took off. I take off in my car and drive through the mountains of California. I used to do it at the beach in Florida, and just hope something comes to me. And then I think I called them. I go, I got it. I go, it's about bullying. That's it. And the whole thing just floodgate open, and Shine was created.
Actually, you did remind me about the intro track to the record, and there's a story that's being told by a woman. Mm-hmm. Who is that? What is that from?
It was a thing that it was wild. My stepdaughter Leia, we were searching for clips of old psychiatry kind of things, people having sessions from like the 1940s, 1950s online, and I told my wife about it, and then she goes, oh, Leia's really good with stuff like that. I go, Leia's 12. Like, what are you talking about? I don't know. And Leia was like, here you go, Papa. Sent me the video, and I was like, what? It was like the most tragic, what a beautiful lady, and with the most tragic story. And I sent it to Nick,
Yeah.
and we were like,
That's it.
that's definitely it.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I did want to ask about a couple more songs on the record, but I have to get to the cover song that is on this, and I was pleasantly surprised running through. I didn't look at the tracks ahead or anything, so I'm listening
Running
to the record
through.
full on the first time, and Run from Snow Patrol.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you guys playing. I was like, oh my god, it was a beautiful rendition, and you played it here too in the studio. It was fantastic. What made you choose that song to cover?
It was an important song to me when I was younger and going to tour and making records and leaving my family. I would always listen to the song on the plane up or taking off or something like that. And I always wanted to hear that song with harmonies. It's beautifully done the way it is. I'm not saying anything against it. I love that song. It's one of my most favorite songs of all time. But I always sing the harmonies with it. And then when me and Nick were talking about possibly doing cover, went through a few things. And it was really hard because you have to find something that connects with you as a band and with your soul to perform that song every night. And I think when I sent him that song, it just felt right.
Yeah, we're like that's the one.
Like,
and
that's
then
it.
What's the version of
when he sent that, then it was we tracked the stuff at my home studio, and then when I heard him actually sing on it, it was just like, oh, this song was tailored for his voice. It was amazing. And it was perfect. So
I do want to ask about a couple more songs on the album, and one of them being my favorite on the album, which is Better Human. What can you tell me about writing that one?
We were just talking about that song. Or did it? Yeah, we were talking about the
about
slowing it up.
changing keys.
Yeah, that song, I don't know. I didn't want to do it, but I kind of fell into the politics of everything with everything that was happening in the last few years and just all the hate online and everywhere I went. It was just really bad and ugly. And I don't know. I got kind of pissed off, and I go, we need to write a song about just be better people. You know what I mean? Like, let's try to do that. So it's not really a political song. It's just the temperature of the world, because it's not just America. It's everywhere. And to see that was crushing to me. I was like, I thought we were better than this. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So everybody stop fighting and just try to be better people. I think we'll have a better life.
I think that's why that song resonated with me particularly, because it's really a song for these times.
It is.
And
everyone be nice.
Right.
And we're all
basic.
broken.
Or just
We're
try.
all broken.
Yeah,
just
Don't
try to
be
Put some
nice.
sort of effort into
Yeah,
being
and
nice.
the line of the thing is, be a better broken human. And everyone is broken. And not one person is perfect. So, just try to be okay when you wake up the next day.
I think it's important that the tour is, the Broken Human tour. It kind of draws from that song as well. It's definitely an important note for these times, and I think people need to pay attention to that. The last song I wanted to ask you about on the record is a song called Quiet Now. What can you tell me about that one?
That song, when I was younger and I had friends that had passed, or, you have family members that had passed, I remember going to my grandmother's house when my grandfather died. And she's sitting in the dark, and we walk in there, and it was just the saddest thing ever, And so it was very quiet, and she kept saying, "I think I can hear GW," and she couldn't, And she goes, "I hate it when it's quiet," and then so that's where it kind of started from. But then when we were doing this record, we were in Phoenix doing the drums and the bass and everything, and one of our good friends, Matthew Kaiser, his father had passed, and he had came out to Phoenix to hang out with it. He'd go to the funeral, but then we brought him over to, I think the playoffs were going on and stuff, and we brought him over to try to cheer him up a little bit. And so that whole thing happened, and then one of our good photographer friends, Dave Jackson, Matthew had a shot of him and his father holding hands in the hospital before he passed, and Dave Jackson, one of our good friends, had edited the photo, and when he sent it to Matthew and sent it to me, I saw the photo of them holding hands, and I go, that song's now for him, and it was constructed for him at that point.
You guys are on the road right now. Tell me how that tour is going so far for you.
It's good. It's really good.
So much fun.
Yeah, the crowd response has been amazing. Everybody's singing along every single lyric every night.
Sometimes they're louder than Scooter.
Yeah.
Which is really brilliant. I mean,
It's really
it's
cool.
emotional. It's a very emotional experience.
And we haven't had that happen yet throughout our entire career, the emotional thing. I don't know if it's from the time that has passed and we haven't played, they haven't seen us play, but it's a beautiful thing that's happening right now, and it's happening every time.
Is there a favorite stop along this run so far, a show that particularly stood out to you?
Where are we at right now?
New York.
New York City.
Yeah, man. One of the things we like to ask the bands who come on our show is for the not so great tour moments where, maybe things go wrong or somebody gets, left behind when the bus stops for gas. We call them the Spinal Tapian moments, obviously. And I'm sure as long as you guys have been, a band on the road, I'm sure you've got some good ones. So maybe just one or two choice stories about when things just went totally off the rails.
Well, we've been speaking in English accents on this tour because of the spinal tappedness of this tour. But I don't know. Does anybody want to say?
Sam told a great story to us the other day.
Sam's got a really good story back in the 1900s.
When we were on tour and no one had cell phones, and the tour manager had a pager. The bus driver stops in the middle of the night, and I get up to go into the truck stop. I come back out. The bus is leaving, and I'm running for the bus. Doesn't see me. and just I know that we're going like 6 hours away or something. It's a long drive, so I was just like, oh man, I'm hitting up the tour manager's pager. He doesn't get back to me until the next day.
Oh no.
I know, and he's like, Sam, we're way far away. You're gonna have to hitch a ride with a truck driver or something. So I was like, there was no way to wire money even where I was at, Iowa, some small town. So I was asking every trucker. I had black hair with a white streak, and I looked like Sweeney Todd before Sweeney Todd even existed. And every truck driver I asked, they were scared to death of me. They were just like, no, I'm not giving you a ride. And I was just like, oh man. So this biker that was a truck driver finally gave me a ride, and he saw me. He's like, who's the crazy guy walking around needs a ride? I'll give him a ride. So he gives me a ride. He has nothing but cassettes of Black Sabbath. I was just like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then he had this dog with this giant goiter coming out of its neck. And I didn't care. I was like, this is my best friend. He's on my lap.
Name?
I don't know the name of the dog.
I thought it was hilarious.
I should remember this.
Yeah.
But anyways, he's he had the goiter because he feeds him cheeseburgers. The doctor told him, had lanced it before or whatever, whatever they do. And I said, why do you keep feeding him cheeseburgers? And he's like, oh, he likes it. And I was like, all right. And it's kind of weird, driving with a truck driver. And then I was like, oh, he's mentioned the war in Vietnam. I go, oh, you're in Vietnam? How was it? He goes, it was the best time of my life. I was just like, all right, man. And then, so the reason why he was giving me a ride, because he was heading that way. He was going to pick up some steel, a load of steel. And when I got off the bus, I didn't have shoes on. So I was just like, he goes, you can't walk in here without shoes, but I was going to throw away my 30-year-old boots, but I hadn't thrown them out, and they had like silver dollar holes on the bottom of them. I was like, I don't care. So I had like long shorts on with these cowboy boots, walking around this steel mill or whatever it was, and with a hard hat too. So it's like, and then so I get back on the truck. He gets in the truck. And he goes, you know what? All those truckers told me that I'm crazy as hell giving you a ride. I was like, why? They thought you were some kind of killer or something. I was just like, man, nope, I'm just a rocker. But yeah, it was crazy. Once we got back to the bus, I was just like, oh, thank you. So I make sure to let the driver know when I get off the bus.
That is one of the greatest stories I've ever heard. Thank you for that. I love that.
I'd like to see a film reenactment of that story.
I would too.
I picked up an EVP on this tour at the Stafford Theater, which they told me it was really haunted. So I went up to the second balcony and just casually, first attempt, asked a question, and the female ghost, answered back.
Oh man, that's creepy.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, let's hear it.
We're recording in the Stafford Theater. Do you like what we're doing here? Good so far? Yeah. We'll do it. Here. Do you like what we're doing here?
Oh my God. I got chills.
I know, it's creepy.
Oh man.
Ghosts are real.
Ghosts are real, man. That's awesome. That's amazing. The new album is amazing, guys. Thank you so much for coming in. This was a blast. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you on the road.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for having us.
Thanks for having us.